everyone, it's Jill from the Cozy Company, and today I'm so excited to show you how to make this adorable chunky knit watermelon pillow. This is a beginner plus pattern, so if you made a blanket or a simple project before and have the basics of finger knitting down, you're going to do great with this. For today's project, you'll need 3 colors of jumbo size 7 yarn, a pair of scissors, a lighter, and some polyfill for stuffing. Let's get started. So for row 1, we're actually going to start with our green color yarn. So I'm going to go ahead and find my green yarn tail, and I'm going to create a slip knot. So again, this is a beginner plus pattern, so I'm going to go ahead and show you how to do each step. But if you already know how to do a slip knot and to create your foundation chain, feel free to fast forward. So to create our foundation chain, we want to make a loop similar to the breast care awareness symbol, where we have our tail on top and our working yarn, the yarn that's attached to our ball of yarn, on the bottom. From there, we're going to take our working yarn, and again, the working yarn is the yarn that's attached to our ball of yarn, and we're going to put it up and through that loop we created, like that. We're going to grab it with one hand, and we're going to pull on the tail at the same time to tighten. Now we want our loops pretty small. We want them about 2 fingers wide, and this is our slip knot. From here, we're going to start our foundation chain. So we are going to chain on 11. So this does count as 1. So to chain on, we're going to take our thumb and our pointer, and we're going to put it through that loop. We're going to go from the top towards the bottom, towards the table, putting our thumb and our pointer finger through. We're going to grab and pinch that working yarn with those 2 fingers, and we're going to pull up a loop the very same size, about 2 fingers wide. Now I've just created a chain of 2. I'm going to repeat that same step through my new loop right here. So again, I'm going to take my thumb and my pointer. I'm going to go from the top towards the table. I'm going to put my fingers through. I'm going to grab and pinch my working yarn to pull up another loop the same size. So that is 3. I'm going to continue until I have 11. So now that I have 11, this completes our foundation chain, which is actually row 1 of the pattern. From here, we're going to, very similar to making a blanket, we're going to pull up loops through these bumps or ridges within this top foundation chain. So you can see here right next to this loop, we have a bump. We do not want to go through this one because it's where this loop is coming from. So we're going to skip this bump, if you will, and we're going to go right to our second one. Mine's right here where I'm putting my finger. So very similar to how we were putting our thumb and our pointer through the loops, we're going to do the same thing but through this bump right here. So just this top portion right here. I'm going to take my thumb and my pointer again. I'm going to put it through that top ridge. I'm going to grab and pinch the working yarn to pull up a loop the same size, about 2 fingers wide. So it looks like I have 2 bunny ears next to each other. Now I'm going to go ahead and do the same thing to the very next bump in my foundation chain. I'm going to put my fingers through, grab and pinch that working yarn to pull up a loop from behind. So now I have 3 loops. I'm going to continue that all the way on the top of that foundation chain until I get back to this tail. So at the end of this row, I should have a total of 10 loops sticking up from my foundation chain. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Perfect, I have 10 loops. So now I'm going to turn my work so that the loops are facing towards me, facing my belly. And I'm going to continue pulling up loops on the bottom side of this foundation chain that are parallel to the loops that I've already pulled up. So if you can see here, this is the bottom part of that foundation chain. I'm going to pull up a loop on this bump because it matches up this loop. And then I'm going to do the same thing here. And I'm going to continue all the way down. So I should have 10 on this side and 10 on this side. So again, and I'm going to take my working yarn and I'm going to put it over that tail like this. So I'm going to find that bump that's right below this loop that we've already created. And I want to pull kind of tight so that there's no slack, but I want to pull up a loop just like we did on the top part and leave the loop the same size, about 2 fingers wide. And then I'm going to find the very next bump that's parallel to the previous loop of the top part of the chain and pull up a loop. So I'm going to continue doing that all the way down until I get to the very end. Okay, so I've just got to the end. We should have a total of 20 loops now. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, and 20. Perfect. So we've just completed row 2. I'm going to go ahead and throw my stitch marker on this loop right here because that was the very first loop we pulled up, and I want to know that this is loop 1. This is loop 10, 11, and 20. So this is loops 1 through 10, and this is loops 11 through 20. So I'm going to go ahead and turn my work again, like this. So that way, loop 1, the loop with my stitch marker, is facing away from me. For row 3, I'm just going to go ahead and knit all 20 of these loops. So just like we would normally just finger knit, I'm going to go ahead and, very similar to what we did with pulling up the loops, take my thumb and my pointer, put it through this loop going from the top towards the bottom, grab and pinch this working yarn, and pull up a loop the same size. Now before I move on to the next loop, I'm just going to go ahead and move my stitch marker up to indicate that this is loop 1 of row 3. So this is the very first loop of the row. So I'll know when I knit all 20 loops, when I get back to this stitch marker, I've completed my row. So I'm just going to go ahead and knit all 20 of these loops. And going forward, I'm going to keep them about 1.5 to 2 fingers wide loop size. So I'm going to have them slightly smaller than my foundation chain. So that was 10. And now you have 2 options here. You can turn your work again and knit these 10, or you can try and it will work a little easier as we get going, but you can try and fold your work in half like this, and that will eliminate any slack between your 2 ends. So between loop 10 and 11, if you kind of fold it like this, it'll eliminate any slack on your sides here. So I'm just going to continue to knit until I get to my 20th loop. So that's 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. And again, it's easier to fold in half as we go a little bit more. So just try your best. 17, 18, 19, and 20. Perfect. Okay. So I've just got back to my stitch marker, as you can see here. So I've just completed row 3. For row 4, I'm actually going to color change and change to the color white. So I'm going to grab my white yarn and I'm just going to tie on, I'm going to flip it so my project is inside out at the moment. So I can just tie on my white working yarn. And I'm just going to do that by tying it on to the base of the green yarn where we pulled up our last loop. And I'm just doing a double knot to make sure that stays nice and secure. And then with my scissors, I'm just going to cut my green yarn and move it aside. So for row 4, I'm just going to knit these 20 loops with my white yarn. So again, trying to fold it in half so that way it doesn't create too much slack between your corner ends. I'm going to go ahead and knit 20 loops in white. Now before I move on to my next loop, I'm just going to go ahead and move my stitch marker up so I know that this is the loop 1 of row 4. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. And then I'm going to turn my work. So the loops 11 through 20 are now towards me. And again, trying to keep it folded in half, I'm just gonna knit those other loops, the loops 11 through 20. And as you get going, you can see it already is folding much easier than the previous row. And that's gonna just keep the same as we keep going. It's just gonna be easier to have it folded. Perfect. So I am back to my stitch marker now. You can see it here. So again, I'm just going to turn my work. So now loop 1, the loop with the stitch marker, is closest to me. For row 5, we're going to introduce some decreases. So I'm going to go ahead and decrease these first 2 loops. So I'm going to take loop 1, my left loop, and I'm going to put it on top of my second loop, my right loop, like this. So I'm putting my finger through both loops. With my white yarn, I'm just going to go ahead and pull up a loop through both of those. So where there was 2 loops, we've just decreased it down to 1 loop. And then I'm just going to knit the next 8 like normal. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. Then I'm just going to go ahead and turn my work. So I have my back loops, loops 10 through 20, and I'm going to repeat that same thing. So I'm going to go ahead and decrease again, left loop over right loop. So this is loop 11 and this is loop 12. I'm going to combine them by putting my finger through both, and I'm going to pull up a loop through both, like that. From there, I'm just going to knit the next 8. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. So at the end of this row, row 5, we should have a total of 18 loops because we decreased twice. We decreased here on loops 1 and 2, and we decreased here on loops 11 and 12. So let's count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, and 18. The next row and all the rows following that, I'm going to go ahead and switch to my pink yarn. So again, I'm just going to tie my pink yarn at the base of that, where that last loop was, where that white yarn is coming out. And I'm going to tie a double knot. And you can use the burn method if you'd like. There's nothing wrong with that. I just like to avoid the burn method as much as possible in stuffies, so that way it eliminates the risk of having that like hard clump. So you can use the tying method or the burn method, whatever you prefer. Once we have our pink yarn attached, for row 6, we're just going to knit all 18 loops with our pink yarn. So 1, and once I knit that first loop, I'm always going to move my stitch marker up. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and then I'm going to flip my work to knit those back 9. So it's 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, and 18. Now you're going to start to kind of see a pattern because we're going to knit the amount, and then we're going to decrease for the next row, and then we're going to knit that amount, and then we're going to decrease for the next row. So we're going to be working up to make that triangle look. For row 7, we are just going to start by knitting the first 7 loops just like normal. So 1, and of course move my stitch marker, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. And now this time we are going to go ahead and take our next 2 loops, but we're going to decrease right over left. So I'm going to take the next 2 loops, my left loop and my right loop. I'm going to take the right loop and I'm going to put it over the left loop this time. And then I'm going to pull up a loop through both. So where there was just 2 loops, we've just decreased it down to 1 loop. I'm going to go ahead and flip my work so I can reach those back loops, and I'm going to knit the next 7 like normal. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. And then again, I'm going to decrease my right loop over my left loop. So my next 2 loops, left loop and right loop, I'm taking my right loop and I'm going to put it over my left loop, and I'm going to pull up a loop through both. And then I should be back to that stitch marker. So at the end of row 7, we should have a total of 16 loops. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, and 16. And like I said, you're going to start to see a pattern. So for row 8, we're just going to knit these 16 loops. So 1, move my stitch marker up, of course. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, and 16. For the next row, row 9, we are going to knit 6, decrease, knit 6, and decrease. So at the end of row 9, we should have a total of 14 loops. So we're going to go ahead and knit the first 6 just like normal. So 1, and of course move your stitch marker up, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. And again, we're going to decrease right over left with our next 2 loops. So right loop is going to go over left loop and pull up a loop through both. I'm then going to turn my work to get to those back loops, and I'm going to repeat the same thing. I'm going to knit 6 just like normal. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And my next 2 loops, my right loop is going to go over my left loop like that and pull up a loop through both. So at the end of row 9, we should have a total of 14 loops now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, and 14. And as you can probably guess, for row 10, we're just going to knit these 14 loops. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, turn my work, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, and 14. I'm just going to turn my work again so that loop 1, the loop with the stitch marker, is facing upward. And for row 11, we're going to repeat again the decrease, but we're going to knit 5, decrease, knit 5, and decrease. So starting row 11, we're just going to knit first 5. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then we're going to decrease. We're going to decrease again. We're going to do right over left. So my right loop is going to go over my left loop, and I'm going to pull up a loop through both. And then I'm just going to turn my work so I can get to those other loops, and I'm going to knit 5 again. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And again, we're gonna decrease right over left. So my right loop is gonna go over my left loop and pull up a loop through both. So at the end of row 11, we should have a total of 12 loops. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. For rows 12 and 13, we are just going to knit these 12 loops. So that is a total of 24. So I'm going to go ahead and take my stitch marker off, and I'm just going to knit until I knit 24 loops. So I'm going to do both rows at the same time. I'm just going to knit 12 and then knit 12 again. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Again, turn my work. And I'm in the corner here, so I'm going to make sure that I keep this as close as possible. 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. That was row 12, and I'm going to knit another 12 for row 13. So 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, and 24. So I'm just going to throw that stitch marker on the very next loop to indicate that this is loop 1 of row 14. For row 14, we're going to decrease a little bit more. So we're going to knit 4, decrease, knit 4, and decrease. So again, just like normal, we're going to knit 4, but I'm going to move my stitch marker up when I knit that first loop. So 1, 2, 3, and 4. We are going to decrease. We're going to decrease right over left and pull up a loop through both. We are going to knit 4 again. So 1, 2, 3, and 4. And again, decrease the last 2 loops, right loop over left loop, and pull up a loop through both. So at the end of row 14, we should have a total of 10 loops. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. For row 15, we're just going to knit all 10 loops. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. I'm just going to turn my work so that way that stitch marker is facing towards me. So the start of row 16 is going to be a little bit different. We're going to break that pattern. We are going to start with a decrease. So we're going to start with a decrease right over left. So I'm going to take my second loop, loops 1 and 2. I'm going to put my second loop over my first loop. Just take that stitch marker off, and I'm going to pull up a loop through both. And then I'm going to put my stitch marker back on. I'm then going to knit the next 3. So 1, 2, and 3. Then I'm going to turn my work. I'm going to decrease again. I'm going to decrease my next 2 loops right over left and pull up a loop through both. And then I'm going to knit the last 3 like normal. 1, 2, and 3. So at the end of that row, row 16, we should have a total of 8 loops. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. For row 17, we are going to knit all 8. So 1, moving my stitch marker up, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. I'm gonna go ahead and grab some polyfill and start stuffing my watermelon now because that hole is getting pretty tight, but we are gonna add more after. I just wanna make sure I can get my hand in all the way right now. So I'm gonna go ahead and grab some polyfill. And I'm going to stuff my watermelon with the polyfill and making sure I can get into the bottom so it's nice and even. Because I'm afraid if we go any further without stuffing it, then we won't be able to put our hands in. Again, we want to make sure it's nice and even. Just gonna do a little bit more until I get pretty close to the top. But again, I'm gonna add more once we do the next few rows. I just want to make sure that I could get in here and stuff it nice and even. So for the next row, row 18, we are going to take these 8 loops and we're gonna decrease them down to 7. So I'm gonna go ahead and knit 3, just like normal. So 1, 2, and 3. And then I'm going to decrease my next 2 loops. I'm going to decrease my right loop over my left loop. And then I'm just going to knit the last 3 loops. So 1, 2, and 3. So I should have a total of 7 loops. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. For the next row, row 19, I'm just gonna knit all 7 loops. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. And for the last row, row 20, I'm going to take these 7 loops and I'm going to decrease it down to 6 loops. So I'm going to go ahead and knit 3. So 1, 2, 3. I'm going to take my next 2 loops. I'm going to decrease right over left. And then I'm going to knit the last 2. 1, 2. So at the end of that row, I should have a total of 6 loops. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. From here, I'm going to go ahead and cut my working yarn, leaving about a 6-inch tail. And I'm going to finish stuffing the polyfill. So once the polyfill is nice and evenly stuffed to the top, I'm going to go ahead and take that short tail that I have, that I just cut, and I'm going to weave it through each and every one of these 6 loops, going from the inside of the pillow towards the outside, like that. And each time I do, I'm just going to gently and firmly pull, and going around all of these loops. And once the tail has gone through all of these loops, I'm just going to pull until that hole closes up, and then I'm going to tie a knot, and I'm going to insert that knot and that tail into that small hole we just closed up. So we've now completed the watermelon part. You're more than welcome to leave it like this, but the very last step, which is optional, is to just add the seeds. And to do that, I'm going to take some black yarn, about 6 inches, 6 to 8 inches each, and I'm just going to choose some spots where I want to put that seed. And I'm going to go ahead and put the black yarn through one of the stitches, and I'm going to tie a knot, and you can double knot if you want to make it extra pronounced. And then I'm just going to go ahead and stick those tails in to the watermelon pillow. So the black dot is just sticking out a little bit. So I'll do one more. So again, I'm just going to take some black yarn and I'm going to find a spot where I want to put a seed. And there's not really any rhyme or reason of where I'm putting them. I'm just putting them wherever I think they might look good. I'm going to tie a double knot, and then I'm going to stick those tails in. So you can add as many seeds as you like to the front and the back side, or you can just leave it without seeds as well. So that is how we make our chunky knit watermelon pillow. If you have any questions, concerns, comments, anything like that, feel free to reach out to me via email or drop it in the comment section below. And don't forget to subscribe. Thanks so much for watching my channel.